Oh, hi guys, welcome back to the Totally Magic channel and welcome to the first video of 2023. Hope you're feeling well. I'm feeling great, thank you for asking. And the trick today is all about pairs of cards. Now the trick is totally impromptu and here is the performance. So we got a regular deck of cards here, 52 cards. You give these to your spectator to examine and shuffle, and they will take the cards and they can give them a shuffle as much as they like to mix the cards up. It really is just a regular card shuffle. Now once they've done that, you're going to talk about using not all the cards because we don't need all of 52 cards. In fact, we're just looking for 3 pairs of cards to use. You see, everybody has this ability of magic in them without actually knowing. Let's go through and let's pick out a couple of cards. This may be a black 2, a red 8 and maybe a red queen. Let's go through and find the pairs of these. There they are. So what are we looking for? A red 8. Go through and find, there's the other one there. So we just need 3 pairs of cards. So as I said, we don't need the whole pack of cards today. We got a pair of 8s, a pair of queens and a pair of 2s. That's all we're going to use today. Now we got an 8, queen and 2. We've also got another 8, queen and 2. 6 cards in total is what we're going to use. Now there's 3 cards for you which you're going to use, and there's 3 cards for me that I'm going to use. So if I give you your 3 cards, what I'd like you to do, now I know it's difficult because we've only got 3 cards, but I want you to shuffle these without actually looking at the faces. You see, we don't want to see what's on the faces of these or the order of those 3 cards because it may have an influence on something we do later on. So just mix them up as best you can. Now the spectator really does mix up these cards into any order they like. Okay, so that is what the spectator will do. Happy with that mix? Now I'm going to take my first card, my top card, and we're going to pair it with your top card here. So your top card goes on mine. So we got our first pair of cards. Now let's be a little bit different on the second one. You see, if I take my second card and your second card, maybe if we bend the rules a little bit, and I'll give you the choice. Do you want to use this one to pair with this, or maybe the bottom one? It's entirely up to you which one you pair with my top card. Now they do get a choice. They can go for this one or this one. Let's say they pick this one again. Okay, again, our second pair. That leaves me with 1 card and your card. We'll put these together like that. Let's take a look. My card that I was left with was the red queen. The card that you were left with is the red queen as well. A perfect pair. Now you might think, well, that's just luck that that happened. Well, let's take a look at the second pair that you put together. And if we take a look, I had the red 8. You too had the red 8. That leaves us just with the 2s, a triple whammy. Now, of course, some people say, well, the first time may have been luck, the second pair may have been just coincidence, and the third pair, well, I think that shows the magic that we all have within us, that we managed to pair them up even though we didn't know the order. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix up these cards a little bit just so that we don't know the order of the cards, because I'm going to go through and I'm going to remove not all pairs. I'm going to remove an odd card. We'll take a pair we'll take a pair of cards, and then we'll take another odd card. So we've got 2 odd cards and 1 pair. The other 2 cards we'll get rid of. Now the idea here is that I'm going to mix these up so that we don't know where they are. So what we have are 4 random cards, but we know there's a pair there somewhere. Top, middle, bottom. I want you to call out any one of those. Top and another one, bottom. So I'm going to remove the top and bottom cards. You're left with a pair of cards. Could this possibly be a 4th time that you've managed to do a perfect pair? Well, one of them is an 8, a red 8, and that's incredible. Another red 8, a perfect pair to end the trick. Now, I know what you're thinking. Could I be hustling you and that these cards are a pair as well? Well, you caught me. You see, these cards are a pair as well. You see, this one is a pair and this one is a pair as well. Now, what I can't figure out is where in the world did these pairs come from? And that is a great magical card trick. So here is the tutorial for this very simple impromptu or not trick. Yeah, because it can be one or the other. Let me explain. First of all, the trick is not new. I've been doing a similar routine to this for many years because it's very simple and impromptu. But I have changed it a little bit. And what brought my attention to dig this out again was that just recently a magician, David Jonathons, released a trick called Color Sync, which is a great little packet effect that uses cards that are full of colour, red, green, blue, yellow, and he gets the spectator to pair up the colours. And this works on the same principle of a spectator managing to pair up the playing cards. Now, I used to do this with 5 or 6 pairs. What I discovered was I'm a great people watcher, looking at people's expressions when you're doing tricks. And you know, you get that glazed look on spectators when they're getting bored. And that's why I reduced this trick down to just 3 pairs. But you can do it with 4 or 5 pairs if you want. I found that, you know, when you show a spectator as paired cards off, they're impressed. When you show them a second time, they're even more impressed. And by the 3rd time, they're kind of thinking, yeah, we get it. I've managed to pair the cards off. Great, let's move on. So for you to then say, well, you've paired 4 together and then 5 together, which is how I used to do this trick, I found it a little bit too repetitive and people got bored. They got the idea. So I reduced it down to just 3 pairs. So based on the Color Sync, I decided to dig this out and revitalise it because I think you might quite enjoy this method. So with a regular deck of cards, you get a spectator to shuffle. Oh, by the way, the gag cards of the pairs will show you the performance without using those. Okay, so it's totally impromptu. So you get a spectator to shuffle the cards, that's genuine. When you get them back, you're just going to remove 3 pairs of cards. It doesn't matter what you go for. Try and vary the values and colours and picture and spot just to make it a prettier picture, I guess. So I go through and I say, okay, I'm going to use a 10, maybe a king, and maybe a, let's say, a 4. And I go through looking for the other siblings of these. So I'm looking for the other king and the 4. So there's the other 4, there's the king, and we're looking for a red 10. There it is there. So you get out your 3 pairs of cards. That's straightforward, nothing sneaky about this. What is sneaky is the next part. When you flip the pack over and say we're not using all of the cards, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a break under the top 3 cards. It makes no odds what these cards are. Okay, so just square them up and I've now got a break under the top 3 cards. Why have I done that? Well, because I then reiterate the cards. I'm going to take the 4, the king and the 10 and I turn them over, and as soon as I put them on there I push forward all 6 cards. So I've got the 3 that they've just seen and 3 additional ones. Now I know some people that are new to Magic are paranoid about the thickness and they think people will see that there's definitely more than 3 cards. Trust me, there's not. They're not going to spot that. I know if you take a big bunch of cards they're going to spot it, but with an extra 3 cards they're not going to spot it. Okay, if you are worried about a magician in the audience that might spot the thickness of the cards, just keep the pack facing them. Don't have it edge on, so don't put that in their eye line. They might see the thickness if they're a magician or a professional card player. Okay, keep it facing there so they can't see the edges. So all I've done is I've gathered up those, pushed them forward. They believe those to be the 3 cards I've just shown them. I then do the same again to reiterate these 4, king and 10 and put those on, and I can lift all of those up. Everything seems clean. You can put the cards to one side. You're now holding apparently 6 cards. In fact, you've got 9. There's an additional 3 cards. This is what I do. If you just follow the performance, it's exactly the same. I slide off 3 cards and show them. I've got 3 cards that you're going to take and I put those to the bottom, and I've got 3 identical cards that I'm going to use and I put those to the bottom. You've now brought the 3 odd cards to the top. You can then deal these onto the table and say keep these face down. Now what I do here is I do push the cards across. Here I've got a whole bunch of cards, but if you keep those in your hand, push these across, you don't have to keep telling them you've got 3 cards. They can see that. They saw you pick 6 cards out, there's 3 there, you must have 3. Okay, so I don't have to keep telling them. Get them to shuffle the cards face down. Make sure they don't look at the faces. They've mixed them up on the table. What you're going to do, you need to get these into pairs. There's an automatic way of doing this. All that I do is I square them. I deal off 2 cards reversing their order. That's the first pair. I put them to the bottom. I then do it again, reversing them, and then once more. So I do it 3 times. If you watch the performance, you'll see me do that. And then finally, I just push 1 card to the bottom. So it's 3 pairs to the bottom and 1 single card. Now what that does, it automatically pairs up the cards, the 2 10s, the 2 4s, the 2 kings. Now all we're going to do is spread the cards, and I spread them like this and say stack your cards in order, and they do that. I'm going to take my top card and we're going to pair it with your top card. Now all I do here is I square these up because I'm going to grab these 2 cards as one. So as I square them up and then push it forward, so it just looks as though I've got 2 cards here and this is my top card. You take their top card, and what I do is I just overlap it like this. I've got 2 cards here. And again, if you're worried about them seeing the edges, don't have it up like this, keep it like this. I then just square them and I pop them down here, nice and neat. You then handle these cards as two. You push off one card and you say, now my second top card is going to be paired with yours, but let's bend the rules. And now you pretend to allow them to choose. Well, you don't pretend, you offer them the chance of taking that top card or this one. So now they believe they get an extra choice. Not only have they shuffled them, but they can now pick one of these. What you're doing in misdirection, when you're looking at them, saying this, and you'll say, look, let's take my top card and your top card. Now, as I go forward with this, in the background, this is what I'm doing. I'm pushing the top card across, bringing it back, so I get a break. And the reason being is because I want to make it easy for me that when I bring this card back, I can push it forward. I've got two cards here. Doesn't matter which card they give you, because these are totally redundant. They give you a card, you repeat the same move. You pick it up, you put it here. We got the second pair. You square those up, put them down. Now you've got two cards here, you handle them as one. I take their final card and I put it on top, square them, and then I like to just buckle the card, the bottom card, to flip over to show them. I've got two cards as one. That means this can be shown quite cleanly to convince them. And then I'll then just flip this over to show the king. This is a double, by the way. And then I put this behind, spread them. Now look at the way I lay these down. Because I don't want these to separate, and if they do separate a little bit, I don't want people to see the edge. So did you notice in the performance where I overlap it like this and then put it down this way, so they are only seeing the single edge of this card? Okay. I do the same with these ones. I just flip them over. Remember, you've got three cards here. So I just push off the top card to reveal the next one, overlap it, lay it down, and then the final one the same. Now remember, from the very beginning they believed you were handling 6 playing cards. You've shown them 3 and 3. Now the 3 pairs. Everything is 6 cards. They've got no reason to doubt you. You then gather up the cards, so that's the first miracle that you performed. And you could end the trick here if you wanted. That's a great trick. So as I mentioned, you can end the routine there with this impressive 3 pairs of cards matched up magically. But you could go one stage further and do this final part, but it's optional. It is a bit cheeky. What you're going to do is, first of all, you need to remove from the cards as you scoop them up. You can shuffle them if you want, but always give the impression you've only got 6 cards. You go through and you remove a pair of cards. That's a genuine pair. Okay. You also remove one of the other pairs and the other pair. So I've removed one of the 4s and one of the 10s. So they're an odd combination. The other cards you have to treat as 2, because remember, people believe that you got 2, 4, 6 cards. So handle these as 2, as you say, and we'll get rid of the other 2. Get rid of those. Now this next part is really you just forcing these on. Now I'm going to leave that up to you, because you may not like the way that I do this, because I do it straight, blatantly cheat on them by forcing these 2 cards onto them. What I do is I have those in the middle, and I just say to them, okay, we've mixed them up, top, middle or bottom. I don't give them any reason why I'm saying that, just say top, middle or bottom. Now if they say middle, I pull out the 2 cards, the trick's done. There's the pair of cards. If they say top and bottom, I pull those 2 away. And I know what you're thinking, so how do you get away with it if they say top and middle or bottom and middle? Well, in that situation, I just give them what I want to. As I come over, I grab the 2 middle cards, as I square the cards up, just drop them down there, and as I push, I say top and middle. They're not going to question it. It's not like an interrogation. You've just given them a pair of cards. And of course, they've got those, and you prove that they're not a pair here. So it's just a final ending to the trick. You may have a different way of forcing the pair onto them. That's up to you. If you do have any suggestions, maybe leave them in the comments below and share them with the other viewers on the channel. It's as simple as that. That's the way I do that. That's the impromptu version. These 2 odd cards, I introduce these, a picture of a fruit of a pear and a pear on there, and I just downloaded these from the internet, cut them out and stuck them over the face of the jokers. Okay, so I've just got 2 pictures of pears, and I just thought these were done 2 things. One, it was a gag, yeah, that they are a pear but not what they expect them to be. Secondly, it's that element of surprise. Where did they come from? They weren't there just a minute ago. So it's just an extra kicker ending. So that's how we do that. How do we get these on? Oh, by the way, I use pictures of pears, but if you want to, I suppose you could put a pair of sunglasses on, or a pair of socks you could put on there. Anything like that to make it a bit of a gag on there, so that when they choose the pair of cards and you say, well, maybe these are a pair as well. Well, they are, because I've got a pair of sunglasses and a pair of socks, something like that. Anyway, how did I get them into the pack? Well, that's quite simple. You can have them on top to begin with, but if you want to give the cards to the spectator to shuffle, I just palm them or have them in my pocket. Allow the spectator to examine the pack, shuffle them, and as you bring them back, just add them to the top and you're done. Now, regular viewers to the channel will know when it comes to palming cards, I've got to be the world's worst card palmer. Trust me. Since I was 8 or 9, I couldn't do it then, and 50 years on, and I still can't palm cards. And if I can get away with it, anyone can. Just the 2 cards palmed in your hand, okay? As soon as they shuffle, just add them, you're done. So of course, these will be part of the 3 additional cards that you add on there. Anyway, I hope that all makes sense and that you have some fun changing how it works and playing around with it. Even the first part of just pairing up the cards, I think you'll enjoy that. Till next time, practice and enjoy.